I think that Espen Rostrup Nakstad is my biological uncle. A reason for this is that I have felt like he is this parallel to my biological father because you people are treating him like as if he is gold, and I'm like, where the fuck is that gold? He is the assistant director of health here in Norway. He is 47 years old. And even though my biological father is assumed to be 67 or 68 years old, my aunt Ragnhild has the same age as Espen Nakstad. And since you people are treating him like as if he is gold, I think that he shares two biological parents with my biological father. My aunt Ragnhild and the sister of Espen Nakstad is also assumed to share two biological parents with my biological father, and she has the same age as Espen Nakstad. So, because this lady with the name Anne Elisabeth Hagen was killed in this murder case, I think that the name of my biological grandmother on my father's side is Anne, because she is supposed to have a sister with the name Elizabeth, and then that kind of combines those two names. But I do not think that my biological grandmother on my father's side just has this name Anne. So then I started wondering what her other name might be. And I was considering this name Britt because I had a teacher with this name, and that is the name of this Norwegian celebrity Anne-Britt, which also looked like my biological family Skanke. In addition, I saw a picture of this Norwegian celebrity Anne-Britt where she looks like one of my earlier neighbor, which does not look like my family Skanke, so that is kind of combining these two appearances into this one person. Yeah, so I started thinking and thinking and thinking about what the name of my biological grandmother could be. And you know, when small people start to think about some important information, my brain does not take a vacation. And I was standing at the gym, and suddenly I was thinking, like, what is the name of the children of Anne-Britt? Yeah, because suddenly I remember that the name of her children might be of high relevance. Because it is kind of burned into my memory that one of her children has the name Christian, because at that point I probably didn't know who Christian was, and I was like, why the fuck does everyone have that name? What is up with that name? There is something with the way you people are mentioning this name Christian. It is like, Christian. And I'm like, is there something special about that name? Because you're mentioning that the name in such a special way, so I assume that there is something with that name. Yes. Yeah, or when a person with the name Christian is on stage, it is like this extreme from the audience. Yes, and I'm like, okay, so there is something with that name Christian. Because even though there is a lot of people visible with that name, it is difficult for me to guess who this is about, because I do not know. I do not know. And when I came home from the gym today, I figured out find out what the name of her other children are, and one of them has the name Espen, one of them has the name Christian, one of them has the name Sven, and one of them has the name Annika. Yeah, and that was what led me to thinking that Espen Nakstad probably is my biological uncle. I'm now going to show a picture of Anne-Britt where she looks like my earlier neighbor. While in this next picture, she looks more like my biological family skanke with these typical chubby cheeks. And just like Espen Nakstad, my biological aunt Ragnhild, and my half-sister Maren, she is 47 years old. I do not know which year my biological aunt Ragnhild and my half-sister Maren were born, but Nakstad and Anne-Britt were born that same year. Anne-Britt has the last name Davidsen. I have met the Norwegian celebrity David Eriksen. Is it connected? I don't know. This is proof that the children of Anne-Britt have the names Sven, Annika, Espen, and Christian. There is this person on TikTok which is talking very much about her psychologist with the name Berit. The name Berit is very similar to the name Britt. Britt is the name of an earlier teacher, Britt is the name of this celebrity Anne-Britt, and Britt is maybe assumed to be the name of my biological grandmother on my father's side. Another thing leading me to believe that Espen Nakstad is my biological uncle is that I have two non-biological uncles with the names Paul and Per, and there is this Norwegian fairy tale where there is three brothers with the name Paul, Per, and Espen Askeladden. So why is my non-biological uncle supposed to be connected to my biological uncle? Yeah, that is because my non-biological uncles are assumed to be the cousins of my biological uncles. And some of the names of my non-biological uncles and non-biological dad is kind of inspired by my biological family. Because my non-biological grandfather is assumed to be the brother of my biological grandfather, and my non-biological family is in family with my biological family. And biological family name themselves based on biological family, so there you go. But what is weird is that my non-biological family should be naming themselves based on my biological family because they are like more important. But Espen Nakstad is like younger than Per and Paul, so unless they was inspired by my non-biological family, it seems to be the case that the inspiration is something else and about their generation, because it seems unlikely that my biological family has named themselves based on my non-biological family. However, that is the family where one of the most important people in this family is located, so I don't know. because they could not name my biological uncle Espen Nakstad based on my non-biological uncles if they did not know about their family, and if it is not due to that family he has that name, it must be something about their generation. So it says that this fairy tale is from 1981, and the name Askeladden and the name of this fairy tale is similar to my name or my nickname Madde, and the name of my sister Ashley. Because the thing is this, that even though we were born many years later, we were planned. Sometimes this happens because our names are based on the names of other biological family members. But I have gotten the impression of the fact that my name Madeleine and the name of my sister Ashley are new names. Am I right? Am I wrong? I don't know. Anyhow, our names can still be inspired by other names. For instance, the name Ashley is inspired by Elvis Presley. And do you know what? The name of the wife of Espen Nakstad is Britt. So this is his wife. His wife, Britt, might have the same name as my biological grandmother on my father's side. And that story sounds familiar. So in my biological family on my father's side, I have this aunt Britt because she married my uncle. And she might have the same name as my biological grandmother. And in my non-biological family on my father's side, my aunt Jorunn became my aunt after she married my uncle. And the name of my non-biological grandmother on my father's side is Jorunn. So that is like two exact same stories, just that one of the stories contain the name Britt, while the other story contained the name Jorunn. And that makes it a lot more likely that the name of my biological grandmother on my father's side actually is Britt. Espen Nakstad and his wife has 2 children together, but I have not managed to find the names of those children. Espen Nakstad has a twin with the name Anders, which means that I have another biological uncle. Because even though some of his other siblings might be non-biological siblings, it is difficult to fake a twin which looks exactly like him. Or I had a biological uncle with the name Anders because he is dead. He died in a helicopter accident in 2014. Anders Nakstad was a doctor, scientist and author just like his brother Espen Nakstad. So this is a picture of Espen Nakstad together with his twin Anders Nakstad during their doctor studies. As you can see from this picture, they are very similar in appearance. Anders Nakstad died at an age of 38 years old in 2014 due to a work-related helicopter accident. When Anders Nakstad died, he left his wife and 2 children. But what caught my attention was the name of his wife and 2 children. The name of his earlier wife, which is probably still alive, is Elin. The name of his children, which he left behind, is Erik and Elias. And that is certainly names which indicate that they probably know all about the biological family of Anders and Espen Nakstad. And there has been some new information to this case, and my non-biological uncles Per and Paul, which is connecting Espen to this fairy tale, might be third cousins of my biological dad and not cousins. That is because I think that the Norwegian celebrity Christian Borch is the brother of my biological grandfather and not my non-biological grandfather. My non-biological grandfather is probably the cousin of my biological grandfather. Because it would be weird with 2 brothers with the name Christian. Even though they would be biological brothers and not official brothers, that would still be weird. So Christian Borch is 5.3 feet. But if he is 5.25 feet, you round upwards, and then that is 5.3. And 5.25 feet is 160 centimeters, which is assumed to be the height of my biological grandfather on my father's side. And I have been watching how you have been uploading that man, and that has been like fucking crazy. So he is probably the brother of my biological grandfather on my father's side. However, it might be difficult for me to understand sometimes if you are just uploading this man because of his name or also because of his genetics. Because I do not have this obsession with names myself, so I do not know what exactly that means with relating how much the genetics matter in relation to the obsession of that name. Or I understand is that as the IQ decreases, the obsession with names is increasing, relating the importance of the genetics, because that is stupidity. And even though I do not care of any of these things, I understand that you have to be stupid in order to care more about the names than the genetics. Even though caring about both of those things might require you to be stupid, stupidity is a range. Even though you have to be stupid in order to care about both of those things at a certain level of knowledge, because I understand that as long as you are smart and sensitive, it doesn't fucking matter which family you are from and what celebrity you are in family with. I do not fucking care, you know. Christian Borch looks like he is the brother of the Norwegian celebrity Toralf Maurstad, while he has the same name as the politician Sandra Borch. Sandra Borch is a Norwegian politician and a celebrity, and She has the height 142 centimeters, which is a height which is totally unfamiliar to me. Because even though she is below dwarf height or something like that, I would assume that the same logic would apply with respect to height, that you inherit the height from one of your parents, or am I wrong? Or do not ask them, because they are just doing corruption anyway. I think that the same logic probably applies when you're below dwarf height also. And I think that I met Toralf Maustad when I was inside of the hospital in 2016, because he was supposed to visit another patient or something like that, and I think that I met him at the entrance. Toralf Maustad is probably the biological brother of my biological grandfather, and he has a sister with the name Mari Maustad, which looks like she is in my biological family Skanke. But my biological grandfather on my father's side is in family with the family Skanke below his generation, so he cannot be in family with the family Skanke above his generation, because that would be incest. So if Marit Maustad is the biological sister of Toralf Maustad, and Toralf Maustad does not look like her, the look of Toralf Maustad is likely to be the look of my biological grandfather on my father's side. Therefore, my biological grandfather is likely to look like Christian Borch and Toralf Maustad, because they look like each other. They are assumed to be brothers, and that is assumed to be the look of my biological grandfather. But that is dependent on the fact that Marit Maustad actually is the biological sister of Toralf Maustad, and not just his official sister. And I have not found any heights for Toralf Maustad or Marit Maustad in order to confirm my theories even more. Some other people looking like my biological family Skanke is May-Britt Andersen and Inger-Lise Rypdal, which is official sisters. So they are probably also biological sisters. So even though I have not found any heights for them either in order to confirm my theories, their look is enough for me in order to connect them to my biological family Skanke. And again, the name Britt is repeated, so that makes it very likely that the name of my biological grandmother on my father's side is Anne-Britt.